Hi and welcome to Distilling in Australia. My name is Nick and today I'm going to be talking about can I legally set up my micro distillery business from home? Now, as I've always said in the past and I will continue to say, I am no guru about this process. I'm not making myself out to be any sort of expert, and I did warn you that I would make mistakes, and this is one of those times when I made one of those mistakes. So this should have been probably video number 2 rather than video number 7, but it was an interesting day or two going through this process. But before we get stuck into it, as usual, here is 5 seconds of your life that you'll never get back. Yes, okay. So as usual, I have my cheat notes because I can't remember all this off the top of my head. But what I want to say at the very beginning is that there are 537 councils or shires in Australia. Now, I live on the Gold Coast, so the council that I deal with is of course the Gold Coast City Council. So what I'm going to tell you today is relevant for me on my journey, but it will also give you some ideas of how to go about getting this information for yourself, because it will vary slightly between different councils and different shires. So just be aware of that. Everything I'm saying today is in relation to where I live, which is on the Gold Coast. Okay, so the process, and I'll be showing you a few of these things that I've got on my computer here, but the process is that you've got to start with a simple search and you just type in home-based business Gold Coast, and then you'll come up with, in my particular case, a link to the Gold Coast City Council and information about what they require. So my micro distillery for at least the first couple of years is going to be based at my home, and then after that I might move it to a more commercial location, a small shed somewhere or something like that. But initially, as part of the plan, in my 5-year plan, it was always going to be at home, and this is something I should have covered a long time ago but didn't, so there you go. All right, so when you go into the website, you'll see that there's what they call key development criteria that you need to consider before you start assessing whether or not you can operate your business, operate your micro distillery from home. So I'm just going to run through those key development criteria, and I'm just going to do it one by one because I have them here. Okay, so the summary of what the Gold Coast City Council is looking for, and this is, when it comes to home-based business, is that you don't need to get town planning approval. So it is a right that you are able to open your business in your home without having to go through the whole town planning process. Got it out eventually. So the summary is as follows. Okay, now firstly, it's got to be run by someone who lives in the home. No problems. That's me. Okay. Be no more than 45 square meters in area, no problems. Garage, normal garage is 6 meters by 6 meters, which is about 36 square meters, okay? Be conducted entirely within the home or on-site structure, so it's got to be entirely within your own boundaries. Only have one non-resident employee on the site at any time. Only have one motor vehicle associated with the business, and have no more than one delivery per day. Ensure the operation of the business does not generate any odour or noise beyond the property boundaries. So that's just the overview of what is required. And all those issues are ones that I feel as though I complied with. So I went into this a bit further, and I rang the Gold Coast City Council and spoke to the town planning girl there, and she went through all those criteria but in more detail. Okay, so and I'll run through these, and again, these will be on the screen. I'll put them on the screen so you can read through them with me as I go through them. So for the Gold Coast, the home-based business code accepted for accepted development subject to requirements. So the first one is the dwelling as viewed from the street is not altered to accommodate the use. The home-based business, including any associated storage, is conducted entirely within the dwelling or on-site structure. Public display or retail sale of goods, excluding mail order or internet sales, is not undertaken from the home-based business. No more than one motor vehicle is used in association with the operation of the home-based business. Loading or unloading activity is undertaken within the site. No more than one delivery permitted per day. The home-based business does not involve any activity that would be defined as industry. Now this is important, okay? You've got to be very careful about your definitions and seeing whether or not you can be classified as being within the industry thresholds, because if you are, it won't be permitted. The operation of the home-based businesses does not generate odour or noise beyond the property boundaries. The home-based business is carried out by a resident of the dwelling. The GFA, which is gross floor area, of the home-based business does not exceed 45 square metres. The home-based business is limited to one non-resident employee on site at a time. For the purposes of business-related visitors and deliveries to the site, excluding home-based childcare, the hours of operation are Monday to Saturday between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m, Sundays and public holidays nil. And finally, the home-based business, excluding home-based childcare, does not generate more than 6 business-related visits per working day. Now, I was talking to the girl at Town Planning, and we went through all those requirements, and I explained to her what I was doing, and I also explained to her that I'm looking at doing 5,000 litres of product per year, or 5,500 litres of product per year. So when we went through all the requirements, she checked the codes because there is a section in there that covers food and beverage. Now, I was concerned that I might get caught under the food and beverage section of definitions, which means that I would have had to do some works to the area that I wanted to use to comply with food and beverage production. But because I'm not producing any food, I'm just producing alcohol, and it was less than 200 tonnes, which is 203,000 litres, that put me outside of the food and beverage requirements. So as far as the Gold Coast City Council is concerned, what I want to do here at home and the process and the quantities that I want to produce, with my deliveries being once a week and my sales being, well, non-existent for the first year at least, but relatively small, that I comply with all the requirements of a home-based business, which means I don't need to get a town planning permit. Now, the girl I was talking to was very helpful, and she thanked me for actually doing my due diligence. So don't be scared to contact your council. I do know I've been in contact with one of our supporters who deals with the Redland Shire. Now, the Redland Shire that want to charge him $380 to send a letter to Queensland Liquor for part of his liquor application, and they also are wanting him to carry out works with relation to food and beverage. So as you can see, different shires or different councils will have different requirements. So you need to do your due diligence, which is just a fancy word of saying do your homework, all right, and have a look and see what is required. Now, there are other factors that you also need to consider when having your home-based business. This is something that I certainly will be doing, and I will be fire risk is something that you need to be aware of. Now, I know it's incredibly unlikely, but we are dealing with alcohol, and alcohol is flammable. So I'm doing some research, and I'll put some information here as well, but I will be buying 2 alcohol resistant fire extinguishers plus an additional smoke detector, and I'll put the details up here now, so you can see what they're called, and I think they're around about $160 thereabouts, but again I'll put the price up here as well so you can see for yourself. And I'm going to have 2 of them, because I'm going to have one near my pedestrian door, which is my entry into my garage, and I'm going to have one near the garage door. So whichever direction you come into the garage, if you need to, they are close by and able to be used, and hopefully they never get used. Another thing I'm going to be doing is putting in an additional smoke alarm detector in the garage where I'm going to be operating. So those fire measures are something that you should be aware of. A fire blanket as well is probably a good idea. The other thing that you should check, and I will be doing this as well, is your insurance. So if you're going to be setting up your micro distillery at home, just make sure you let your insurance company know, and you check with your insurer both on your building and on your contents, okay? Because they may charge you a slightly higher premium if you're doing it at home. They may not, but that's up to your insurance company. So they're the issues around. So the executive summary of can I set up my home distillery, my home micro distillery business at home is, for me, yes. For you, probably. But again, do your own research, do your due diligence, make sure that you contact your local council and talk to them. Generally speaking, they are really helpful and informative, okay? There has been some relaxation to home occupation because of the pandemic, and that's worked in our favour a bit. So these are issues that at this particular point look really promising. So I'm a happy guy at the moment. I know that I can do at least, putting aside the course application through the ATO, which is I'm not even looking at that part of it, just looking from a council perspective of what you're allowed to do. Now, having said that, you can set up your I can set up my micro distillery business in my garage, and I can produce alcohol once I have my license from the ATO, but I can't sell it. So I'm going to address that one in my next video. And that's something that we're going to do. I haven't forgotten about the application, but I just thought it was important just to cover 2 aspects. One is, of course, physical operation, and the other is the legal selling of alcohol from your operation. So that I'm going to cover in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are watching, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and you'll get notifications of when the next video is coming up. So thank you, and ciao. Distilling alcohol is illegal in Australia unless you hold the appropriate licenses and permits. I am not a lawyer, and the contents of this video are not intended to be legal advice. Do not rely on any information contained in this video, and seek your own professional legal advice before making any decisions. Be aware, the Australian Tax Office and local law enforcement agencies will be taking interest in this channel due to its content. Please keep this in mind before posting any comments. Any comments posted are the opinion of the person posting and not of this channel. Let's get started.